My name is Stephanie. I'm with Senior Advocate. Thank you for joining us today for our Sally class. This is our Senior Advocate Lifelong Learning Institute. This is one of our series all about the arts. We are very excited to be able to partner with Kate Powell and Tidewater Arts Outreach. And she's on the call right now, so I'm going to send it over to you, Kate, and let you say a few words about your wonderful organization.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stephanie. And everyone, thank you so much for being here. We are really excited to partner with Senior Advocate on this series. For those of you who don't know, Tidewater Arts Outreach sends outreach programs to people in assisted living communities, shelters, hospitals, anywhere where people are kind of isolated from society, which has turned into everybody in the world at this point, as we all have been locked in our homes for it seems like forever. And this is actually a great opportunity because we've never actually been able to reach individuals in this manner before. So we're really happy to partner with Senior Advocate to do this and to bring amazing artists like Ryan Clemens here directly into your homes. You know, there's not a lot of great things about COVID, but I think one of the things is how new innovative programs are happening like this one. So we're really thrilled to do this for you. If you guys have any questions about what we're doing as an organization, I'm going to put my email in the chat if you want to reach out just to know more. But also we've got a website, tidewaterartsoutreach.org.
Excellent. Thank you, Kate. And for those of you that are on right now, for this presentation in particular, Ryan has asked that people are able to access the chat box so that if he asks questions, you all can put in comments and things like that. So for everybody that's on right now, I think most of you know how to get to that, but I just want to briefly explain it. If you bring your cursor down to the bottom of your screen, you should see a row of all kinds of different things you can do. It starts with mute, stop video. Right in the middle of that is a chat button. If you click on that chat button, you should see to the right-hand side of the picture, it'll pop up, it'll show all of the participants, and down in the right-hand bottom corner, you can type in things that all of us can see. Just make sure that under the blue where it says to, that it says to everybody, and then it'll show up like you can see Kate just typed in on the chat. So now that we all know how to do that, we are gonna get right into this. I was so excited yesterday. I just met Ryan on Zoom yesterday to make sure everything would go well today, Ryan Clemens. I think we're in for a big treat. He is a professional actor. He's with the Virginia Stage Company. And he is going to be talking today about storytelling and improv. And so take it away, Ryan.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Well, I'm delighted to be able to spend some time with you this morning. It's always my preference to be person to person, face to face, but as Kate had said, it really is kind of exciting and wonderful how we are making use of technology and finding innovative ways to connect with one another today. So welcome to my home. This is my little office here, and I'm glad to have you here, and hope that today we can spend a little bit of time together talking about improvisation and storytelling and sharing some laughs. And I've got some special PowerPoint kinds of things that I'm going to show you in just a moment. And kind of maybe a way that we can get to know each other a little bit, or at least you can get to know me a little bit, as I tell you a little bit about my experience as an artist, as an actor, and an improviser. More about what that means in just a second. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my PowerPoint video here. You'll enjoy this because I'm wearing a hat in this picture. If you see me wearing a hat, then we've got the right screen here. And that's less glare than I've got going on right now. Somehow it seems like the longer I go without a haircut, the balder I get. I don't understand how that works, but that's how it is. But this is me, Ryan Clemens, and I am an actor, a playwright, a comedian, an artist, a visual artist, and a storyteller. Some of these things are not the most lucrative of career paths to engage upon, but they are some exciting and fulfilling things, and especially when I'm able to offer my stories and my work to wonderful audience and also share in stories and work with people. Speaking about sharing, my hope is that even with the limits of our Zoom technology, we've got opportunity to have some interaction here. In fact, interaction you'll find is going to be nice. It's going to be essential even for some of the games and things that we'll play as we get into this discussion. So I'm going to click the next button here. Hopefully, Stephanie, are you seeing
Yes.
oh, good, good.
Yep.
I always have to check. I'm not the most technically advanced person, but I've done my best to have some fun with the format, and I've got a fun little PowerPoint to start us off. So first question, of course, is what is improv? Our class is called Storytelling and Improv. Storytelling, we've got a handle on. And what is improv? Well, improv is simply short for improvisation. And in the theater world, in music, in storytelling, and really in various, many aspects of life, you hear that word, well, let's improv, or we're going to have to improvise here. And improvisation simply means sort of coming up with ideas on the spot, making it up. To a lot of people, it's a little bit daunting. To me, I found a great freedom in it. And I'll tell you, to be honest, I would rather be on stage unscripted, working with people that I trust and can play with. That's one of my favorite things to do. I have been working in the arts for years and years, and I've created classes. In fact, I teach at Old Dominion University, and I am the lead resident teaching artist with Virginia Stage Company. And in many of my lessons, I offer ideas about improvisation, both because it's fun, it's freeing, but also because it offers us ideas to think about regarding interpersonal relationships and the way that we approach one another. So we'll get into that a little bit as we continue. What are we doing with improv on Zoom? I've got a picture here of my improv group. I work with a comedy group that I've worked with for, oh gosh, I think 10 years now. We're called Plan B Comedy, a very appropriate name for an improv group. And we actually work with Zyder's American Dream Theater in downtown Virginia Beach, in Town Center. If you go down there, it's a new theater, and it's a wonderful, big, beautiful theater with a couple of different spaces where we perform. And in our shows, in our live shows, we invite people in and we play all kinds of improvisational games and do all kinds of improvisational storytelling where we capture suggestions from the audience. We'll ask for things like relationships. We'll ask for things like locations. We'll ask for something like, what is something that two people can be working on for this scene? And folks will offer their ideas, and then we will take hold of those ideas and try and begin a scene or grow a game out of these things. It's great fun. And now, in the era of COVID-19, with the theaters closed, we have found that our innovation happens on Zoom. So every Friday night, and you're cordially invited, we've got a show this Friday on YouTube, on Zyder's American Dream Theater's YouTube page. We put together an improv show where we play with one another, playing games and telling stories in a Zoom format. And our audience, sometimes we have folks that come in, Zoom into our plays from the audience and offer suggestions, but often they type their suggestions into the YouTube chat, or and then we collect them and put them into our chat boxes, as Stephanie showed you. So as we continue, I'm going to ask you for suggestions and ask you to put those things into the chat box.
And
by the way,
can
yeah.
I interrupt real quick. So since you are sharing the screen, I just want to remind everybody that because I know some of you are looking at the screen like you can't figure out what happened to the chat button. If you go down, you just have to have bring your cursor down to the bottom middle of the screen where the chat is, in case you haven't already pulled that up. So that way you'll be able to see it, because sometimes it just kind of disappears on us. So sorry,
Yeah.
Ryan, go ahead.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. It disappears on me all the time. And usually when I'm in the middle of a performance and I'm struggling to find it. But yeah, Zoom is kind of an exciting, interesting novelty right now. I did a production of Hamlet on Zoom. It wasn't very good, but it was interesting. It was really kind of like radio theater, except you could see people's expressions. So we're finding ways to work with improv in times when we're unable to be directly connected to our audiences. So some audience suggestions. Stephanie just explained that. Thank you, Stephanie. I was just about to ask you those ways. So thank you very much. If you can type those things into the chat. And here's what I'm going to ask for. I'm looking for 3 things here. And I want to say again, there's no right, there's no wrong answers. It can be any kind of idea that you come up with. And one of the things I'm looking for is a category. Something like makes of cars, kinds of breakfast cereals, names of state capitals, words that start with Q, things you do when you're in love. Who knows? Any category, any category. So if you can offer to me a category, and also I'm looking for a chore you hate to do. Cooking, cleaning, fixing a flat tire, feeding the chickens, changing the toilet paper roll. Who knows? It can be anything, any chore that you'd like. And then I'm looking also for the third thing, a place. Can be anything, can be very broad, can be very specific. Maybe the beach or France or a vegetable garden or Walmart or Dairy Queen. And my hope is we'll use these suggestions for as much time as we have to play some different improv games to offer some ideas about how we do these things in storytelling on Zoom. So just to repeat, a category, a chore you hate to do, a place. No wrong answers. I'm looking for your creativity. And by the way, I put in as many ideas as you have. I'm looking for volume. So there's no wrong answers. And you can type in a bunch. You can type in a bunch of categories, or chores you hate to do, or a place. Let's see. A little more about me as you're writing suggestions here. Here's a picture of me with a cowboy hat because I actually grew up as a cowboy. I'm from Wyoming, and I wasn't a very good cowboy, and my heart just wasn't there. And so I got into theater and into performance. And in fact, my first work in the arts was working in a Wild West show that toured around the West. And since then, I've been an actor in all kinds of different roles. There's me looking like a mean Daddy Warbucks as a villain in a Shakespeare play. There's a strange character, a crying clown. There's a strange character of playing Mrs. Chauvenet in Harvey. This one's a favorite. Working with the Virginia Stage Company, one of the plays we're most known for is every year we put on A Christmas Carol. I've been doing it for 9 years, playing various characters, from Bob Cratchit to, well, this last year, I had the joy of playing Marley, the ghost that first visits Ebenezer Scrooge. Here's a quick picture of the Virginia Stage Company, may be familiar to some of you. It's in downtown Norfolk. It's our region's premier professional theater. The building, the Wells Theater, we've had since 1913. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. It's a wonderful place to go see a show. Here's the interior to give you a view of that. And it's really wonderful to see a show. The productions are wonderful. Everything on that stage is great. And even just enjoying the place is wonderful. And it's closed now as well. And so Here is a picture of me in a role that I'm most known for. My name's Ryan Clemens, and part of the improvisation and storytelling that I do is in playing my famous relative, Samuel L. Clemens, who's better known as Mark Twain. So this is a recent performance that I did by Zoom for University of, or College of the Albemarle, not too far away from us, for they had to move their literacy festival online. And so I did a Mark Twain performance, very much like we do here. And it's great fun because stories I tell, stories I improvise. Here's a look, just a quick picture of my improv group, Plan B, doing some pantomime there in a production. And this is the impetus for the next story. This is my wonderful wife, Sonia. This is her at her home in Switzerland. She is Swiss. How did a person from Wyoming, an old cowboy from Wyoming, and a girl from Switzerland meet? Well, I'll tell you in just a second here. Here's our wedding picture, back when I still had a little more hair. And I'd like to tell you a true story to warm up and give you some time to write suggestions. This is a first date story. And really, I wanted to tell this story because I love to tell this story. It's a story that my friends often ask me to tell other people when I meet them. And while I tell it, I'd like to ask you in the audience to write those suggestions for the upcoming games and stories. And it makes sense, you see, because in this story, we have a category, which is things you do when you're in love. We have a chore you hate to do, which is changing the toilet paper roll. And we have a place, which in this case is Dairy Queen in 1995 in Riverton, Wyoming. And so I'd like to tell you, as you have a chance to write some stories here quickly, the story about my first date with the woman, Sonia, who would become my wife. Well, you see, I was poor, a poor actor going to school in Riverton, Wyoming, having a great time learning about theater and getting all kinds of great roles, because who goes to school for theater in Riverton, Wyoming? And during my time one winter, I happened to be cast in a play called Fool for Love. And who was I cast with but this girl from Switzerland? She had come over to work on the Wind River Indian Reservation, and she started to take some classes at this college where I was going to school and ended up auditioning for this play. Well, she was fantastic, and I was smitten. And she thought that I was interesting too. And after a short while, the stage kisses began to become real kisses, but we weren't sure, is this real love or is this what we call a showmance? And so I said, I'd like to take you on a real date. And she said, okay. Well, to take her out for an American experience, I thought, I'll take her to Dairy Queen. She's never been to Dairy Queen. So we could go get ice cream. That sounds like a great first date. It maybe wasn't the best idea because it was February in Wyoming, which has more snow outside, you know, than in the ice cream cone. But anyway, I invited her to go to Dairy Queen and she said, okay, I will meet you. But my problem was I had no money. I mean, it was desperate times. I mean, I was digging in the couch cushions looking for quarters, and I was borrowing lunch money from friends, and I did not even have the money sometimes for the toilet paper. So I would time things so that I would be at school when those necessary functions would need to take place, or even sometimes surreptitiously take some toilet paper for myself to bring home. Well, our date is planned to happen at 3 o'clock at Dairy Queen. And I go in, I drive my pickup truck there. I get all dandied up, you know, and I'm looking good. And drive in and I wait and I wait. And Sonia doesn't show up. Well, I go up to the counter and I ask for a glass of water, and then another glass of water and another glass of water. And before long, lots of time has passed and I'm stuck without a date, and I'm not ordered anything. And these teenage girls that run the Dairy Queen are giving me sour looks. So heartbroken, I figure it's not going to work. She stood me up. The love of my life. I guess she had better thoughts. So I go to the restroom, and what do I see but stacked up like a pyramid almost, roll upon roll of toilet paper. And this is how people get into crime, right? Desperation, heartbreak. And so I saw that toilet paper and I said, I'm going to take that toilet paper. And I had my big coat on and I put a roll, 2 rolls, 3 rolls, and zipped myself up, and was, kind of had to walk back across the Dairy Queen in front of those ladies that were in charge. So I just kind of doubled over and went back to my truck. And as I turned the corner outside, who comes up but my wife? Well, she wasn't my wife then, the girl who would be my wife, Sonia. And she says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm late. I went off of the road and it took a while to get the car back on. And I didn't mean, I couldn't, find a way to let you know. I'm so sorry it's so late." And I didn't know what to do. I had a first date and I had a jacket full of toilet paper. So I just kind of had to make a decision. I just casually unzipped my coat and took the toilet paper out and put it in my truck. And she said, what is that, toilet paper?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, what are you doing with it?" I said, "I'm stealing it. And now I'm going to put it back because since you showed up, it's changed everything. And my life is on a new course." And so I snuck the toilet paper back in and set it back up. And some years later, Sonia and I were married, and that's what saved me from a life of crime begun by toilet paper theft. And that's the story. Well, let's see. How did we do? Did we collect some suggestions?
Looks like it. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Interesting ones.
Oh, great, great. I love it. I'm looking at the suggestions here. Jokes, taking out the trash, McDonald's. Oh, these are beautiful. Vacuuming, raking leaves. Okay, so this is perfect because, thank you, by the way, for letting me offer that story. What I like to do is I'd like to show you kind of the warm-up games that we do in working on improvisation. And so as I told that story, I've told that story many, many times, and I know the plot of the story, but the telling is always a little bit different. I get to improvise, words that sound fun to me in the telling today may not have sounded fun the last time I told the story. And I allow myself to operate on impulse. As improvisers, as storytellers, impulse is absolutely essential. And so one of the warm-up games that we do that involves working on impulse goes with this first suggestion that I've asked for, which is that idea of categories. So I'm seeing, let's see, dogs. We play a game called 5 Things. If you find yourself in an impossibly boring situation, this is a great way to just start a random conversation. You allow yourself to operate by impulse, do away with all of those concerns about things being right or wrong or accurate. And the challenge is to say 5 things that have to do with that subject. So I might turn to Kathy, who I see here, and I'd say, "Kathy," and she says, "Yes." And I'd say, "Kathy, tell me 5 of your favorite dogs." Now I'm going to play Kathy. So Kathy says, a Shih Tzu, a Golden Retriever, Max, Snoopy, and hot dog, right? It can be anything that the impulse, the idea of dog spurs. Because in working together as improv artists and storytelling, part of our challenge is to not prejudge things, but just allow our minds to move on the symphony of ideas. And so we play this game called Five Things just to see how quickly we can offer ideas. And the great thing is when you're working with a partner, those ideas flow back and forth. Maybe to make a little bit more sense of this, I can ask Stephanie if you would play a little game with me.
I'd love to.
Oh, wonderful. This is a game that's called Yes and it's really all about what I was just saying about working together. The idea is Stephanie's ideas are brilliant. I think all of her ideas are grand, and the wonderful thing is Stephanie thinks all of my ideas are grand as well. And so we play a game called Yes and really, Yes and is the core idea of any kind of creative, collaborative work that we do as artists and storytellers. And for this particular game, it's a great way to offer example to that notion. So Stephanie and I, we met yesterday, but for this game, we are longtime friends. Oh my goodness, Stephanie and I have been friends forever, and we've been on countless adventures, all kinds of places. And so let's see, I'm going to look and see, Rico's Pizza is the first suggestion I saw. So Stephanie, you may have been to Rico's Pizza, you may not have been to Rico's Pizza in your real life, but the great thing is, as we play characters, we can work together to share a memory about an adventure that we had at Rico's Pizza. And this game works by us going back and forth, offering ideas, listening to the ideas, and building off of them. So for example, I might turn to Stephanie and say, Stephanie, do you remember that time we went to Rico's Pizza? And the first thing Stephanie will say is, yes, and then she'll add her idea to the idea about Rico's Pizza. So I'll try it. Stephanie, do you remember that adventure that we had at Rico's Pizza?
Yes. And do you remember the elephant that was outside?
Oh, great, great. So she's added her idea about the elephant. So I'm going to yes and the idea of the elephant. Yes, and the elephant was eating pizza, picking it up with its toes and also with its trunk.
Yes. And did you see the person that was riding on the elephant eating pizza as well? Remember that?
Yes. And that person was dressed up as a clown, and the elephant kept feeding the person pizza until the person got sick.
Yes. And then you jumped on the elephant.
Yes. And I ate pizza like I'd never eaten pizza before. Yay!
Fun.
That was fantastic. Give Stephanie a round of applause. That was wonderful. And we'd not played that game before, and like a natural, you just jumped in, agreed, and added your ideas. And that's really what it's all about. The wonderful thing is, in any kind of team, you listen to one another and you develop a sense of working together. And it's the same thing about interpersonal relationships and storytelling, whether that storytelling is with friends and conversation or whether you're performing on stage. And Stephanie, you're brilliant.
Yes,
Wonderful.
and
You've got it. You've got it. So if you take nothing else away from our discussion today, I hope you take away that idea about yes and. Yes and your friends. Yes and the people you work with. Add that positivity, take their ideas and build on them. That's all. That's the fundamental of creative collaboration. So with that idea, I'd like to try another game, if that's okay. For the last suggestion, I asked for, what did I ask for? Oh, a place. Let's see. Oh, and a chore. Let's see. I don't know if we'll have time for the chore one, but I'm going to go with another place one. And actually, Stephanie, will you pick a place there?
let's do McDonald's.
McDonald's. Fantastic. I'm going to put on, oh, and I've got one more thing to ask. Stephanie, would you pick a number between 1 and 3?
2.
2. Okay. I would like to play a game that I call Slideshow. And this is a comedy improv game. And hopefully you are seeing a vacation slideshow that I made. Now here's the thing. What number did you say? 3?
2.
2. Okay. For slideshow 2, go to slide 17. All right. So I'm going to go to slide 17, and then I'm going to put on the slideshow. So my Plan B comedy folks, we make these slideshows, and this is especially one of the games that we play on Zoom. So here's the idea. I'll be the storyteller, and I have to tell a story about my amazing vacation to McDonald's. That's where it was?
Yes.
To McDonald's. And these pictures that are going to come up, I don't know exactly what they're going to be. I haven't got a clue. So I have to allow the pictures that come up, I have to allow them to inspire me. I have to operate by impulse to tell a story about my vacation to McDonald's. So let's see, I'm going to play a character too. Here's a hat I'll put on. And let's see, I'll play a character, and I'll tell let's see, a character that goes to McDonald's. Well, kids go to McDonald's, so I'll be a kid here, and I'll tell you about my amazing vacation to McDonald's. All right, round of applause, some encouragement here, and here we go. Okay, so I'm excited to tell you about my trip to McDonald's. So I like to go on vacation to different places with my family. Like here is, for example, my brother-in-law, Steve, and my sister, whose name is also Steve. And this is, we had to celebrate. We decided to go on a honeymoon / vacation because they got engaged, right? And he proposed to her in front of a hippopotamus, which is her favorite animal. And she said, well, if I can't go to a hippopotamus, I want to go somewhere where I can get big as a hippopotamus. Let's go to McDonald's. So as you see in this next picture, there's Ronald McDonald on the left, and there's Monald McDonald on the right. And there's the elephant that it used to be their mascot until the Rico's Pizza stole it. And that was a pizza that Stephanie and Ryan went and had their adventure there. Anyway, it was pretty fun because it had kind of a circus atmosphere. But I'll tell you, the weirdest thing was, they made you play Twister before you could get your hamburger. And so you had to do the right hand red, left hand blue, and it was a little bit of mandatory exercise, I guess. So anyway, we got our burgers, and then the next thing was they said, would you like some duck with that? And I thought, duck, that's not usually a meat that you get from fast food places. And so I went to the back room, and it was a surprise party. Everyone was dressed up like Donald Duck, and we all sang Happy Engagement to Steve and to Steve. They were having a great time. It turned into a real ball, real festivity. And then we took pictures, of course. We didn't have money for human photographers, so we used animal photographers. It didn't make the best photos, but they were pretty exciting. And then the animals started to run around, and the next thing you know, giant mice come out of the walls. And I guess the health inspector didn't do a very good job, at least not in that back room. So that sort of put an end to the party right there. And we left in a hurry, believe you me. But we took one souvenir to always remember that vacation to Disney, or not to Disneyland, to McDonaldland. And that was a giant camera, or a tiny person, depending. I'm not sure, I don't remember. But it was a great time, and I was hungry as a wolf. That's me right there. And so that's a story about my vacation to McDonald's. Yay! Oh, that was exciting. I had no idea where that story was going to go. I had no idea what those pictures were going to be. But that's the excitement and the fun of using improvisation in storytelling. How are we doing on time? Oh, we've got just a little bit of time. Would you like to go to questions and answers, Stephanie, or would you like to try one more game?
You want to let's do one more game. And meanwhile, if you all have questions or comments, go ahead and just type them in the chat and then we'll bring them up at the very end.
Terrific. Well, I'm looking at the clock, so I'll try and be quick about this. But I asked my wife for some suggestions this morning to play a game that I call Lines. And I've got a little mug here, and she wrote different lines of dialogue. I have no idea, I promise, I have no idea what she's written in any of these. But my challenge as a performer is going to be to tell you about some tips on how to do a chore that you hate to do. And from time to time, I will reach into this cup and use one of those lines in this tutorial, in this explanation, and then I'll have the job of trying to justify why I'm saying that, where that comes from. So we'll see. This one, well, with any improv game, you never quite know if it's going to work or if it's not going to, but that's why we just enjoy sharing the fun of it. So let's see. I need to find, oh, the first one I saw is cutting cat's nails. Oh my goodness. Let's see who, cutting cat's nails. That is a chore, I know, because we have a cat. So let me see, do I have a hat or something to give me a character? There we go. I've got a little beret. That should be fun. So I can be Monsieur Pierre, who will tell you the right way in which to cut your cat's nails. Bonjour, everyone, and welcome to Pierre's Animal Maintenance Program. I'm so glad that you have joined me here, and once again, we will explore the ways in which you can learn to take care of your pet and other animals. So, first things first, I know that we want to learn today about how to trim a cat's nails. Well, the first thing that you have to have is a cat. You have a cat that has long nails, and you have to get a clipper of some kind, fingernail clipper or other clipper. But remember, when you get a clipper, you must look on the packaging, and it must say, let's drive to the beach and have a picnic. Because you want to get a festive kind of clipper. You need something that tells the cat, oh, we're having fun. It's like a trip to the beach. And even though cats, don't like water, they love sand. So that idea about a festive beach clipper will put the cat at ease. Then you get the cat and you calm the kitty, you pet, and you want to whisper into his ear something that will always calm the kitty. And you know what to say? You say, what a lovely day to go boating. Oh, yes, see, many cats are reincarnated from seafarers, sailors. Some of them, I think, are pirates in a former life. And now they have become cats. So when you say, what a lovely day to go boating, they immediately relax and begin to purr. Well, once you have your cat all ready to go, you can take the little foot and take the clipper. But be careful. You must be gentle, and you must always remember what my great-great-grandmother used to tell me about taking care of animals. She would say, Pierre, she would say, do you want fries with that? Well, you see, I get very hungry taking care of the animals, and as I am French, we would have many French fries handy. So I would know I would get a treat after I took care of the animals. And of course, you want to give the animal a treat after you trim its nails. So give them a little treat. And my favorite thing is to give them a little bit of tuna fish. And when you give it to them, you look them right in their little cute eyes and you say, It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Because you know, it's the best of times when you get your nails trimmed and it feels better. It's the worst of times when it's actually happening. And cats, they love that little bit of literary philosophy. So this has been Pierre, and I hope you have a wonderful time trimming the nails of your cat. Thank you. Yay. Well, that worked better than I thought it would.
This stuff is really fun. I am like taking notes because when we all get back together in person, we're going to do some of this stuff at some of our events.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I tell you, let me know when you're thinking about doing that. I would be glad to offer ideas and play. Yeah, thank you for talking about play. Thank you for playing with me this Friday morning. It's such a challenge being isolated in this way. And one of the things that I miss more than anything is the opportunity to play with people. So even remotely, thank you for that.
Thank you, Ryan. This has been really fun. I don't see any questions, but I have to say you've all brought a little joy to all of our lives. You brought some joy to all of our lives this morning and made us laugh, which is, of course, one of the most important things that we can do. Would you be willing to share, I know you had mentioned the Plan B, and how do people find you? Can you type that into the chat, or do you want to just tell us a website that they can go to?
Yes, I've got, I'll type in a few different websites. If you're, I've got some things to offer with Plan B and with other virtual theater storytelling experiences. I'll tell you, my website is clemensistwain.com. And if you check out that website, you'll see pictures of me working as Mark Twain and doing all kinds of performances. And if you've ever interest in Mark Twain presenting virtually, or when the time comes in person for places, I'm the guy to call. And then another place to look at for these kinds of workshops, things that are about theater and storytelling, and if you're interested in those kinds of things, we actually have a program happening now with the Virginia Stage Company. Our website at Virginia Stage Company is vastage.org. And also, in particular to this time, we have some virtual classes, courses. We're going to be doing camps for actors and various other things this summer as well. They're in the works, and we're kind of at a transition where we're deciding what's coming up in the summer months. But our programs go under the idea of virtual programs. So the website there is, it's still vastage.org and /virtual. And then for Plan B, for our comedy show, we do things at Zyder's American Dream Theater. And I'm going to type that out because that is a tricky one to know how to spell. Zyder's American Dream Theater. And we are Plan B Comedy. And so I think that Zyder's webpage is the z.org, and we perform tonight on their YouTube page. They have a live event where it's kind of recorded and broadcast at the same time. I will give warning, it's an after 9 o'clock event, and sometimes it's a little more PG-13. We don't really go blue very often. We have one game that's a little more blue, but really we try and stay at the top of our intelligence in performing the play. But that's the Zyder's American Dream Theater. If you type that into YouTube page, you will find our comedy show tonight.
Excellent. Thank you. And I have one question that was texted to me.
Yes.
They wanted to know the difference between when you're used to obviously performing in front of people and getting that audience feedback and that audience reaction. What is it like now that you're not able to get that except for through watching people on a video?
Oh, thank you for that question. That's something that I've been really thinking about lately, because the audience interaction, whether it is improvised storytelling, comedy, kind of things I do with Plan B, or whether it's a live performance, is absolutely essential. I've also had the task being a teacher, teaching an acting class this spring semester when everything went down, and trying to teach actors about how to perform in front of an audience without them having an audience to perform in front of. And it's a huge challenge. I think that there's two things that help: the experience and the memory of, and I guess really imagination of how an audience responds helps me. But it's a very sterile environment. Oh goodness, what I wouldn't give to hear some laughs and to share in those laughs too, because it's a cycle. That's the reason theater will never be replaced by film, will never be replaced by computer, because it's that interaction of audience and performer, and we feed off of one another. So I definitely miss that liveness.
Yeah. I did get one other question. They wanted to know, how did you get into acting?
Oh goodness, I got into acting when I was very young. I did, well, I'll say the great thing about growing up in Wyoming is there's so few people. And when you still have people that have that creativity and that desire to write plays and perform plays and put on shows. And so in this tiny little community, I was very lucky to have, as a teacher, a gentleman who's gone on to write other plays and actually has children that perform on television and do all kinds of things. And he would put together a show every summer, kind of a summer camp for the kids. And it would be performed at the most respected of venues, the Goshen County Summer Fair. And I'll never forget, one year I got to wear a fringed buckskin little coat, put on a big old cowboy hat, and I got to play Buffalo Bill. And oh, I'm sure I was just terrible. But the folks said, "Oh, we liked you. We could hear you." And I thought, I've got it. I've got what it takes. And so from then on, because I was a loud kid and I liked to wear cowboy hats and buckskin, I started to think about playing cowboy more than working as a cowboy. And got started doing Wild West show kinds of stuff, and then got into I had a rock and roll band for a while, and I've been doing theater, summer stock, and performing in those things. I can't even tell you how many years, but I've been working at Virginia Stage Company for more than 10 years now. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Again, you've been a delight this morning. We'll all go away with a smile on our faces. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you'd like to check out our other classes or see what else we have going on, you can go to our website, which is senioradvocate.live. I know we have our next class coming up next Tuesday. That's our History Bites. So, and also we always like to mention, if you're enjoying these programs, we are doing this, of course, in partnership with Tidewater Arts Outreach. So if you'd like to donate to them, they provide such wonderful programs to so many people in our area. Please keep them in the forefront of your mind. And we just are happy that you joined us. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. And thanks again, Ryan.
Oh, thank you for having me. I hope you enjoyed and got some laughs there.
We did. Thank you. Everybody take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.